Yeah, I skipped past that boss fight. Again, I've already shown you all the boss fights. Why would I show you them again? They don't even change that much with the other characters. Like, you jump over more stuff with Team Sonic's versions, but that's about it. Some cut lines reveal that Metal Sonic would have turned invisible like Espia at one point before attacking, which makes sense since I guess they would have copied the Team Chaotix, even though he never actually bothered to do that, as you saw in the Team Chaotix story. He didn't consider any of the Team Chaotix to be worth copying. You think that he would consider Espio to be a very useful invisibility ability generator?
Froggy, where are you? Let's go home.
Cheese, what's wrong? Yes, a chow nappy. But what?
See? This is Amy being a good leader.
Eggman has something to do with it, and we're not gonna let him get away with it.
She's being inspiring to her friends, and like, that's badass. That's good for character. Like I said, Team Rose, its levels kind of lack set pieces. And a symptom of this is that you don't have the frogs creating nearly as many platforms and vines for you to progress in. So, yeah, that's kind of disappointing. I really don't understand why they just had to have big headlines, because a lot of them are pretty cringeworthy. Well, I take that back, like, there's clearly frogs there, but I guess they're not as big a focus as they usually are. Even with Team Rose, they did get stuck at one point and just wandered around in circles because, again, the problem with this level is it doesn't do enough to tell you exactly where you need to go when you constantly have to jump onto, like, vine grind rails that they're kind of below the platform, and they kind of blend in with the landscape, so you don't really know where exactly you're supposed to go. It's also annoying constantly having to wait for stuff to grow. That line from Amy was actually really controversial. My problem with it is that it's capitalized the word God, which doesn't make any sense because obviously that religion doesn't exist in the Sonic universe. So that doesn't, like who exactly is she talking about there? It does make sense for her character though, since she's a valley girl basically. But yeah, I can understand why it was controversial. A-ranking every level in this game unlocks super hard mode, which actually doesn't affect bosses for some reason. This happens again for the Shadow game. And super hard mode is literally just, you play as Team Sonic again, only it's very slightly harder, only it's not really all that harder. Obviously I've never played it because that would require me to A-rank every single level in this game. And A-ranking a level generally requires you defeat a bunch of enemies. I mean, there's lots of times when I've A-ranked a level on my second try, like, without even trying to get a good rank, I was just playing through it. So, like, I've A-ranked a lot of Amy's levels effortlessly, but I don't know if I could do it for every level, and I don't really care. If I am going to do that, I'm going to be cheating anyways. And I don't know if there is a code to let me do that. Like, I know there's a code to unlock everything and get 100%, but as far as I know, that's only for the PAL version of the game, because it doesn't work for the US version, which I have. So I kind of like the shield graphic, but I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the shield graphic, it's too clear for my liking, so it's kind of hard to notice that you even have it. In fact, it's really hard to notice. I only actually saw the shield and realized it was there all the way on Team Dark on Egg Fleet. I think it's better to just have the shield be a little more visually obvious, because it's easy to pick it up and not even realize and forget that you have it. A remix of the Battle City area music can be heard in the special stages for the DS version of Colors. This is the only Sonic game to have its theme song named after the game's title, Sonic Heroes. I guess that makes sense since they realized how bad it would be. Like, I guess the whole point is you're supposed to be all like, oh, that's the title of the game! And that alone makes you like it, except not really. See, I like the look of these emblems, but I just prefer the way they look in SA2. Yeah, fuck these special stages. During the off panel for Archie's Sonic Universe Issue 2, Sonic jokes that Archie might make a comic adaptation of Sonic Heroes in 2010. Various elements from Heroes actually have appeared in the comics later. 3 teams, including Team Dark and Team Rose, appear. Although Team Rose had Blaze and plays it big, which is definitely the better option. Omega, Cream, and Cheese were also introduced to the comic. For some reason, Cream took a long time to be introduced to the comic, because for some reason Sega equated her with Sonic X and said, no, that's a copyright thing. So it took a while for them to introduce Cream to the comic. I don't know. I think she might have only been introduced by the reboot that stripped the comic of every identity that it had. It also introduced the Egg Fleet into the comics, although the Final Fortress ship was never actually seen. The design for Neo Metal Sonic was applied to a group of robots known as the Metal Sonic Troopers, or Troopers. Eggman piloted the Egghawk in several issues, and Eggpawns, Egghammers, and Flappers became part of Eggman's army in the comic series. Are they really called Flappers? Isn't that the equivalent of the rebellious feminists from the 20s? Makes me wonder why they would have that kind of silly name. I was actually playing as Cream alone there, which is weird because normally you can only play as a flying character alone after you've dropped your partners off on switches. But apparently only getting hit can do it. See, this would be fine if they actually told you how you were supposed to deal with these enemies. That you have to thunder shoot them and then hit them with a power type. But even in easy mode, they never tell you how to deal with these enemies. And I don't think these enemies should even appear at all in the easy mode. I've been looking forward to showing off this level for Team Rose because this is a perfect demonstration of just how terrible these stupid U-shaped glitchy vines are. I think they really, really hate when you're the flying type. I think maybe you can only grab onto them with the highest character on the totem pole, which is Cream, but you're instinctively trying to aim the lowest character at it. That might be it. But another thing is that, again, it's just so picky, the timing. And if you don't press A at exactly the right time, then it won't launch you forwards at all. And that might kill you. And it's absolutely mandatory to deal with these things to progress. Now I can have an easy time skipping them most of the time, especially since I only have to deal with one of these instead of multiple in a row. But the problem is, look at this. It really does look like you should be able to just land on the ground and then jump again, but for some reason you can't. I literally had to rely on save states and reloading my state to get back all the lives that I missed. It's always so lame when her flight meter just decides to randomly run out. Like, not randomly, but like, how is this fun in any way, shape, or form? At the very least, it is pretty funny having your characters constantly warn you, be careful not to fall off, and then you die. Like, it's just like with like falling to your death in the bad camera room in SA1, where Tikal's like, be careful not to fall off, and then you immediately fall to your death. So at least that was one highlight, but it's still an extremely terrible section of the level. I guess you can get used to it though, but yeah. There's a reason that I thought that Lost Jungle was a terrible level. Frog Forest is a pretty fun level, but it's amazing how much just having more U-shaped vines can do to a level's enjoyment. Like, these acid frogs, they aren't really a problem at all. I mean, well, they do send damaging fruit at you, but it's not like, again, it's not like they get rid of alternate pathways that would have made the level faster and stuff. They're just sort of there. A remix of the quick race music can be heard during Cream's Chow Hunt mission in Sonic Generations. There's a prototype of Heroes with music missing instruments on some of the music tracks, like Casino Park. The manual for the game's console ports refers to the final boss, Metal Sonic, as the Mystery Monster. Like, for some reason, this game is trying to hide the fact that Metal Sonic is the final boss, even though he's revealed in the game's intro trailer. So, it's kind of goofy, like they're trying to have plot twists, even though all of the plot twists are obvious right from the start, aside from Vector knowing that Eggman was guiding them the whole time. See, this is what it's really like to be fighting this thing legitimately. There's a way that you can make your characters in multiplayer look all metallic with one color. It's called Metal Heroes. When doing that, the hands at the bottom of Amy's and Cream's dresses become spiked. The same thing happens to the buckles on Big's belt. Basically, you hold A and Y selecting a 2-player level for the cheat. Honestly, I've seen them. I've seen the metallic characters, and I really don't think that they look very good at all. I mean, Sonic looks fine, obviously, because he's using the Metal Sonic design. But the other characters are they're just metal and all one color. It doesn't really work. It looks extremely lazy, to be honest. Like, they could have really gone all out. But instead, they just had all the characters just be one color.
Excuse me, miss.
Vector's being so polite here. Why? Why doesn't she just say a flat-out no?
Now hand over that chow nice and easy.
And SBO very clearly sounds like he's evil, so no wonder Cream is accusing him of this. Technically, they aren't teasing them at all. Again, why couldn't they have just talked it out? I mean, isn't Amy supposed to be all about talking to her enemies? Like, with Gamma and Shadow? Isn't she like the heart and soul and everything? But instead, they just get into a fight and she doesn't even explain, like, Team Chaotix, they don't even explain what their mission is, and again, they had 10 Chow already. Why were they trying to steal Cream? Did they think that they would get paid more if they brought more than 10 Chow to Eggman? And where were they even bringing the Chow to in the first place? Where do they drop off the stuff that they collect? It all just makes it seem even more arbitrary.
I think we're lost.
This place is creepy.
So, I can't help but feel, like, sympathy for Cream, because she's like scared by the adventure. Like, that's also the case for Final Fortress, where she's like, I gotta pull myself together. So she's sympathetic in that sense. Relatable. I don't really like big slime. Like, I've gotta get tough for all of us, even though I'm already tough. Like, if anything, he looks the toughest out of all of the power types because of how big he is. The big problem with Hang Castle and Mystic Mansion for Team Rose is that the switches are hidden in a very unintuitive way. To the point where, when I first played this level, I spent over 3 minutes just finding that first switch. I literally had to restart the level because I thought, like, there's no way that I'm showing this tape because it's just going to, I don't know. Like, that's the big problem with these two levels, is they hide switches on you. And it would be a lot more fun if they didn't. Not to mention the fact that the whole gimmick of King Castle is the turning the castle upside down with magic to give us different level time thing, but it barely makes use of that at all for Team Rose's version of the level. Also, another strange complaint is I think both of the levels they don't take long enough. And I know that sounds weird because normally the level length of heroes is a big problem. Like, it can get exhausting and draining after a while. It doesn't help that you can't just, it's not like you can save and quit at any point in the level and then come back. I mean, you can do that on an emulator because of save states, but other than that, but it just like, for Mystic Mansion, it's over in under 2 minutes. That just feels underwhelming. For some reason, Eggman named some of his robots after chess pieces. Egg Pawn, Egg Bishop, Egg Knight, Egg Emperor, which is the closest you get to the King chess piece. Not that I really know, since I never played chess. I don't even know the rules, to be honest. It seems too complicated to even bother with.
Here we go.
Why do they have a speed icon there? Do they really think you're going to take the risk of platforming without the flying type? If I have the option available to me, I'm going to use it. The Get All A Ranks image is actually the beta version's title screen.
We did it.
That's really weird. I guess the beta version was really rushed and they didn't have time to make a proper title screen. Primit's official strategy guide for Sonic Heroes left out some information on Team Sonic's Team Blast
Just knew we could
because
do
it's not named or described. I guess they didn't have the name or description for it yet. It doesn't mention that Sonic and Shadow can't stay on walls infinitely during Triangle Jump, or that SPO can. So, we don't know if originally Sonic and Shadow could stay on them infinitely, or if Shadow couldn't at one point. The strategy guide also doesn't mention the Metal Heroes multiplayer cheat. Were all these things not in the beta version of the game? Imagine Team Sonic without the Team Blast at all. That would have sucked. I mean, I guess it would have made sense to have the hard mode not have an easy one-hit kill screen nuke move, but also would have been really horrible. Like, I honestly think the gameplay of having always Team Blast,
And that's
I think that should have been how the game actually was. Because having to sit through an unskippable cutscene every time you use Team Blast is more than punishment enough for using it.
I'll do my best.
It does more than enough to balance out using it. And eventually I actually got so sick of that cutscene that I started fighting the enemies legitimately because it was probably faster than actually sitting through that cutscene. And another thing is, the strategy guide calls egg pawns as sinister sounding sociopawns. So, sociopaths? Sociopawns? I can understand why they changed it, especially since Eggman has a whole egg theming with his name, with his inventions. Why did they even think that was a good idea? I mean, it sounds a bit too dark. And you really expect me to be intimidated by these robots? Why does Eggman even make these robots not look intimidating at all? I get that he has a sense of humor, and so he wants it to be like an ironic sort of thing, like a clown being dangerous. But then he has Metal Sonic being anything but clownish looking. So does he want intimidating looking robots or not? The strategy guide, one thing it does right is that it recommends playing Team Rose first, Team Dark third, and Chaotix last. They knew that Chaotix was the worst part of the game. The trolley cart for Team Rose, it actually doesn't require like jumping at all. It's literally just a set piece where you just go fast and that's it. You can also brake on the trolley and bobsled by holding B, but why would you ever want to do that? I mean, I guess it does make it a little easier to avoid... Oh, I guess you do have to jump. But wait, no, let's see. Actually, it wouldn't have mattered if you didn't jump over that laser gate, because you get your partners back when you get to the next trolley anyways. And again, there's no point to jumping to get these rings. I mean, I guess the ring bonus would help with the rank, but it's not like you can go supersonic, which would make perfect sense. This is supposed to be a classic, like, game, even though it plays nothing like the classics. And see, I didn't have to jump on the previous trolley either, because I could have just gotten hit by the ghost and it would have been fine. And this is another instance where they dickishly hide a switch on you and stop your progress dead. This time, it's because the switch is hidden behind a crate, or like hidden under the crate. It's kind of weird not being able to break crates at all when Sonic was able to do it himself in SA2 with a somersault. I'm not sure why he needed to use a somersault though. Why couldn't he just spin dashed into them? Like, the same logic for him somersaulting, destroying the crates, should apply even more so towards the spin dash doing it, since the spin dash would be moving at it a lot faster. Again, I know it sounds crazy because these two levels aren't really that great most of the time, and maybe that's why these two levels are great with Team Rose, but I just feel like they're underwhelmingly short if you're playing them as Team Rose, especially Hang Castle. But they're combat heavy for most of the other teams, so it's kind of good that they end so quickly.